call to order the regular council meeting of Wednesday, June 21st, 2023, which today is actually National Indigenous Peoples Day, so a big one to remember. Alrighty. So number 2, we have our adoption of agenda. Recommendation that council adopts the agenda. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Wall, thank you. Discussion? None. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you. Number 3, adoption of minutes. Recommendation that council adopts the minutes of the regular council meeting held on June 7th, 2023. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Woodall, thank you very much. Discussion? None. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you very much. Short agenda this evening, thank goodness. Number 4, introduction of late items, none. Public hearings, none. Delegations, none for the first time in I feel like forever. Number 7, unfinished business arising from the minutes, none. Number 8, new business, 8.1 recommendation.
The council receives a letter from the museum for information and consideration.
Seconded by Councillor Woodall, thank you so much. Discussion, Councillor Rabble.
So essentially it appears at this time that they're essentially just looking for support, but it looks like they might be asking for a specific donation, either maybe cash or item. But they are saying they'll reach out in July. Personally, I think that the museum is an integral piece of our cultural history and heritage, and that it's essential that we maintain the museum as a fixture of our community. It attracts tourists to our location. But also, hey, I'm always for community organizations remaining as self-sufficient as possible and maintaining the funding. So I'm curious to see what exactly, I don't know if we have a particular item we're thinking of giving or a dollar value, but I don't know what to assign to it at this time.
Yeah. Miss Green, do we normally donate to the museum for their harvest fee? We have done this in the past. That's an on-the-spot question. Sorry, I just thought of that.
I can't recall if we've given them a donation in the past or not. However, they do get to use the community center. However, with the new policy, they will be charged.
Oh, okay. So maybe that's sort of a direction that council might be interested in going, is sort of waiving that fee. I'm not sure if we normally, I'm trying to remember from last year if we gave them a donation for the harvest fee. I can't recall that we did. But if council is interested in finding a way to support, that might be one way, because the cleaning fee is over $400. No, how much is the cleaning fee?
Just under 300.
Just under 300, so it's a pretty decent amount of money. Councillor Wall?
Do we know if the museum has asked other organizations for their support, such as the co-op or Lawrence Meats or whatever, to help run this event? Or if they're just asking us for our donation?
I think we can only go off the letter, so I'm assuming so far they've only asked us, but that could be something you could look into as the museum person.
I've been so busy. Yes, I will.
Councillor Woodall?
Yeah, so by reading this isn't something that we have to decide tonight. It's something we can put a little bit of thought into, because they said they're going to check back with us in July, and they're accepting donations mid-August. So we have some time to reach out to the museum, find out kind of what they would like for support, and then it gives us an idea and come back to us, and we can either decide a dollar amount that we're going to donate something, or facilities in lieu of, or something like that. So that's some time.
I guess my next question would also be to council, is this something you would like direct staff to look into, or is it something you would like to direct Councillor Wall to look into?
I think Councillor Wall's perfectly capable of having a conversation with Mr. Davis.
Okay. Did you have a question, Councillor?
Sometime the next month.
I was going to put a motion on the floor within this motion, which I don't know how to do that, but as part of the discussion, could we? I want to put the motion on the floor to allow the museum to use the community center, and we can waive that cost for them to host this event now, and then going forward, I will contact the museum, get in touch with them, and see exactly what they're looking for to see what their full proposal is come our next meeting. As per the letter.
Okay, so your motion currently is to waive the cleaning fee for the museum for their harvest tea.
If that's what they choose to do, yeah.
Okay, can I get a seconder on Councillor Wall's motion? Councillor Rabble seconds. And Councillor Rabble?
So I would say, essentially, if they wish, because we're not exactly sure where they intend to host this, I think if they wish to utilize the community center, that the village foot the bill, essentially, for the cleaning fee. But what's important is there's two asks in here. One is request for support and donation. So we could definitely start with speaking to the support for the event, and then think more in depth about the donation.
Yeah, and I think too, another way that we can also support is, we'll probably run something in our Village Voice, most likely, so that we'll be supportive in that way too. And then the motion that Councillor Wall made, and then once you sort of like look into it a little bit more, then that will kind of tell us what other ways we could support them. It's normally the same thing, volunteers, right? That's something they always need, so we could always make ourselves available for that date as well. Okay, do you want to say anything, Councillor Wall, in regards to the motion you made that's on the floor?
No.
Okay, so if we've ended discussion on the motion that Councillor Wall made, I'm going to put it to a vote. So all those in favor of waiving the cleaning fee for the museum's harvest tea for the community center? Unanimous and carried. Okay, back to our original motion. Anything you wanted to add, Councillor Wall, or you're all good?
Would council mind if I spoke to the museum and let them know that we will support it? Support the event?
I think first find out what kind of support they're looking for, and then that way it's like we can physically pinpoint what areas we're going to support. So I guess that would be my direction, my advice to you. Yeah. Councillor Wall?
Would we be inclined, could I put the motion on the floor for us to add the museum event into our village, or our next upcoming Village Voice? If it's not too late for that to come out.
Do we need a motion for that, Risky? No? I think
It'll be anyway.
it'll be anyway. There you go. Don't even need that.
Oh, there we go,
He's
you read my mind.
He's just looking to make these motions tonight. Councillor Rabble?
So it's still nested within this original information motion. I would say there to request our support. I don't know if that's in the form of a letter or just simply verbally here in the form of a motion. But I'd like to put the motion on the floor that council support the Harvest Tea and Bake Sale for the museum to be hosted on September 23rd, 2023.
Okay, can I get a second on Councillor Rabble's motion? Okay, moving into discussion. My only issue with that is just because we don't know the specifics of what support they're looking for. So I think my recommendation to council would definitely be to let Councillor Wall reach out and then find out what the specifics are, and then we can actually like say specifically what areas we're going to support. That's my recommendation on that. Councillor Woodall?
Yeah, so the other thing, supporting the museum is great and all, but the other thing to keep in mind, until they find out what level of support they want, we also did increase their budget by $10,000 this year.
Right.
So they did get a budget increase this year as well, so just something to comment when we're looking at what kind of additional support we're going to be giving into the museum.
We don't have a lot left in that discretionary fund, I'm just letting you guys know. Councillor Rabble?
So the intent of the motion is essentially to say that I support that, the council supports that the event is to occur. That the event and for its purpose is to occur. And that council say support it.
You may not need a motion for that, so we're probably gonna have to defeat it, but that's okay. Councillor Wall?
I just want to say, when I talk to the museum, I will be canvassing them to see if they've asked for donations elsewhere.
Okay.
And to see what other community partners may be involved in helping that out, because it doesn't necessarily all have to come from us as the community, as a municipality. It could also be coming from other not-for-profits or other, for example, there could be a grocery store in town that wants to donate, or there could be a kids activities club or something like that wants to be involved, that could be reached out to as well. So.
Okay. All right. So, Ms. McNair, would it be easier for us to see if Councillor Rabble wants to retract his motion or just defeat it? Which is easier on the minutes? Oh, that's a good. You know what? We'll just defeat it.
I have put the motion on the floor.
Or yeah. So.
Probably just defeat it.
Well, we can say we support
Yeah.
hosting the event, which is his motion.
Yeah. I guess
And
so.
then the details come later about how much we're going to support them doing it, but we're already showing our support by providing them the community center if they so choose to.
Okay. All right. We'll put to a vote then.
Okay.
All those in favor of supporting the museum's harvest tea and finding out what that means? Unanimous and carried. There we go. I was just trying to think of a way to word that where it could still kind of come back where we're not like financially supporting. We gotta look into it. Yeah. That's all I was getting kind of wordy with that one. Sorry about that. Alrighty, wonderful. Moving on. 8.2 recommendation.
That council consider the request that Mayor Beach sent out regarding the UBCM ministers and meeting.
Can I get a second on that?
Yeah, where is it though? I do.
It's not in here. It's in the.
Oh, it's on the next
I think we needed a second for this stuff.
Yeah, I know. I need a seconder on that.
Yeah, the next.
Which page? I apologize.
21. Isn't that it? 21?
No, that's not it. So the question is actually within the email that I sent out, and I will read it to you. Just give me 2 seconds. It'll be in my sent. Hang on. I'm bringing it up. I know. They don't want to second it until they hear it, so.
Well, it should be presented with the agenda, or as a late item, potentially.
I think I can find it in my email. That's even funnier.
Mayor,
Yes.
Is this the question regarding possible financial aid for elected officials?
Yes, yeah, so this was that question I sent out about bringing it up to sort of start a conversation of supporting municipalities that are going through, what's the right one for,
Litigious?
lawsuits, sure, there's a fancier word for that, litigation, haha, there we go, that are going through, because it is something that is becoming more and more common, and it's falling back onto the taxpayers. So this was that question I sent out last week, just stating that like, that could sort of be our first steps, and then next year we can put it on the agenda for the NCLJ, and then eventually move it to UBCM if it's, and see how supported it is by the other municipalities.
I'll second the motion so we can discuss it, yeah.
Perfect, okay, so that's what the basic question is.
It's
I
on the
sent it
table.
out and it sounded way fancier when you guys got it on email, but I'm like, kind of coming up with it. So that is the question I'm looking forward to bring up to the Minister of Municipal Affairs when we are at UBCM, and just really talking about the overall stress and pressure it puts on the municipalities that are facing litigation from either within their own elected officials or from the community towards elected officials, and just sort of trying to get more support from municipalities. Councilor Raffle.
Are you able to clarify the question? Like, what is the question you intend to ask?
I know, I wrote it out, it was all pretty, but now I can't find it. Yes, Councilor Wall.
Unfortunately, I don't feel this question best represents the interests of the community. And for the tax-paying residents, because, or municipalities as a whole. I mean, we're going there to represent, and we're supposed to be bringing ideas that encompass multiple municipalities. There are issues such as the carbon tax and transportation and environmental issues that are affecting a lot of small municipalities in the north that we can't just bring up as one municipality. We need a bunch of people to come together and say, hey, actually, we don't have alternatives. We can't just turn off the heat in the wintertime because it's, where I would prefer if we had a question that reflected the needs of our taxpayers as opposed to the detriment.
Okay. Can I read the question? I did find it. Okay, so in the email I wrote, I said, I'd like to pose the following question to the minister, and I'm hopeful that we can get this on the next NCLGA. I'd like to speak to the minister regarding the legal and financial issues many municipalities have been facing in the past few years, whether it's lawsuits created between elected officials or lawsuits brought on by members of the public toward the municipalities or elected officials. Many of the municipalities are facing larger and longer lawyer fees that without any support or guidance from the province. Seeing as this has become a growing issue for many municipalities, I feel that it is time that the larger government begin to step in and create a safety net for our municipalities and taxpayers, as well as our elected officials who face financial hardship due to the fact that they have put themselves in the public eye and thus then at times making them a target for others. So that was the question I was looking to pose to the Minister of Municipal Affairs at the UBCM. I would print it, but I'm not connected to the printer here. Councillor Wall.
Part of that question that I'm opposed to is the part where eventually you're asking for taxpayer dollars. Maybe not necessarily boost, but from taxpayers in the province to partially cover legal costs for those who are involved in litigation. Unfortunately, I won't be able to support that. I wish I could, but I can't.
I say it's something that came up when I was at the NCLJ. I was surprised to see there was about 7 other municipalities in BC that were facing some similar issues that Poughkeepsie has faced in the past. So that's what sort of brought that conversation forward. Councillor Whittle?
Yeah, this is one of those things that I have mixed feelings on it. I understand where it's coming from, but at the same time, you know, it's one of those things that as a municipality, having members that are citizens or people from our municipality can hold us accountable and bring that legal action to us, which is against us, which is their legal right to do so. And us as elected officials, we get into this position knowing that there's going to be some public scrutiny to it, and that is something we're potentially opening ourselves up to. Unfortunately, there's members of the public that do take advantage of it, and it does get abused, but at the same time, I think it is a good check and balance to have in place for municipalities and for elected officials. Granted, I think there is something that we could probably look into, or something that should be looked into, is the parameters of when and where and how. But at the same time, you know, just a blanket statement of, hey, can you help us with legal fees? I have a bit of an issue with that because, yeah, I get where we're coming from. You know, we've spent X amount of money on legal fees over the last few years, which is unfortunate because ultimately a good chunk of that does get passed out to our taxpayers. But at the same time, those systems exist as a check and balance for us as elected officials and us as a municipality to make sure that we're not overstepping and we're staying within the confines of laws and regulations.
Councillor Rebel?
So let's say hypothetically, this question is posed to the minister accepts it, understands it, incorporates it into how they operate in the ministry that they're overseeing, and we look back 10 years, what do those outcomes look like? Are we talking a framework of legal guidance, a legal fund that exists for municipalities to access, public officials to access? What specific outcomes are you hoping from asking this question? Like, what would be the ideal end result?
I was thinking both of those, really, you know, legal guidance for municipalities that are currently going through a lot of these things and are, you know, leaning on multiple different lawyers even just to give them advice on how to deal with these things. That's still costing the taxpayers money, where if the province had something that was more outlaid and sort of more of an advice kind of, I'm totally thinking of like a phone line, like 1-800. And so it was really the mixture of those, where, you know, the province can start giving municipalities guidance rather than them constantly having to bring in lawyers, even just for advice about, you know, threats of suing, or because every time somebody, you know, throws that around, they have to contact somebody in legal, and then that ends up costing the taxpayers money. And so it was a mixture of, advice as well as maybe sort of creating a bit of a safety net within the province for those municipalities. It's kind of like a grant, sort of like, you know, if your municipality is going through something, you can apply to this specific fund, and if it meets the parameters of, you know, this is affecting the municipality as a whole or whatnot, the province could then come in and help, so it's not being completely put onto the municipality. So that's sort of where my brain was going. Councillor Wall.
I don't know if this is a good use of the minister's time, because for the government of British Columbia to step in and give municipalities money as part of to help legal costs, that'd be the government picking a side, which would violate the Constitution because they have to be impartial. So even if this were to be brought to UBCM and everybody voted on it, and it passed, the province still couldn't act on it.
Yeah.
Because it'd be them picking a side, which would be overstepping the judiciary, right?
That's true.
So either way it goes, it can't happen, right?
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to throw to a vote then. So all those in favor of me bringing forward that question to the Minister of Municipal Affairs at UBCM. Sorry guys, I'm getting tired. All those in favor? They made good points. I actually agree with them. It's been defeated. Thank you. Thanks guys for having that conversation with me.
Opposed?
Oh,
Because we
opposed,
don't
yeah,
vote, then
all
it's in
those,
favor.
all those opposed.
Because if it is a call, we
I
went
know.
affirmative, and then that's.
And then you're like, wait a minute.
You just voted yes.
True, okay, alright, moving on to recommendation 8.3.
The council receives a candidate summary for information and or discussion.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Woodall, oh man, he was like on that, okay.
This is exciting.
Miss Green, I have a note here, just, so I'm assuming that there are a few things on that list that are not included, such as like the bands, the performers, the face painter. There are other things that we have that are not included on that list, right?
At the very bottom, it says and more.
Well, I know, but that's really like, what does that mean? So I was thinking, I was like, man, the public is gonna read this and be like, wow, 7 things, and I was like, oh no. So there is more, there's like, yeah, the bands, the performers, the face painters, etc. And my other question I was gonna ask you is, were we able to get the same food vendors as last year, or are these ones different? Oh, I'm really being on spot, I'm so sorry, never mind, you have the
I
answer already.
believe the 2 vendors that have confirmed were at Canada Day last year.
Okay, and we're still sort of seeking vendors, hey?
Yes.
Okay, I know I spoke to one of our local people, and they were looking at doing the food thing on Canada Day, but I guess it's the regulations that are really difficult for them to meet, so that's what made it a bit more difficult.
Food permit.
Yeah, the food permit's really hard to get, I guess, so, because I was in talking with them, and they're like, I would love to, but the food permit is wicked hard, so that's probably one of the reasons why we're also struggling. That thing is long.
And there's a lot of stuff going on this year for Canada Day.
I know, I saw that. Councillor Whittle?
Yeah, so I just want to give kudos to staff and point out the fact that even though we had budgeted $40,000 for this, and we had other avenues that we had looked at that were right around that same price mark, you guys are pulling us in for right around that $21,000 mark, which is, you know, phenomenal. So congratulations to staff, and, you know, excellent work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, wonderful job. Councillor Wolf?
I just want to note that there's a dunk tank. And,
Who's sitting in that? Yeah.
and I think this is just an idea, and I was happy we got here because it segues back to the museum. A thought I had was, what if mayor and council sat on the dunk tank and we charged, let's say, I'm just shooting numbers here, $5 to throw 3 balls, and that money goes to help the museum as part of our assistance, or not our assistance, our support.
That's cool.
I think the issue is charging money on tax. Isn't there something like you can't charge taxpayers to do things that have been bought by taxpayers' money?
It's a donation to a not-for-profit.
Oh, could we just do it a donation instead of a cost?
It's a $5 donation, and you do the thing, and that money goes to the not-for-profit, which is the museum, and that's our support.
Yeah, yeah.
And the kids would have fun dunking us,
We may have to look into
or
that.
the staff.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think there is something about that. I don't know, we can double check. We might not be able to put like a money amount, but we could just put donate and do that instead. And so then it's not a strict.
And I don't know that you could show preference to just one.
Yes, that might be the other issue too. Councillor.
So to build off what Councillor Wall was saying, what if, you know, if we're gonna get dunked and have balls thrown at us, why doesn't any donations that come in get split between the library and the museum, because they're both things that us as a municipality support, and then we're not just, and the senior hall, yeah. Right, so that's the other thing, is look at the things that we support as a country. So what are the things, like, we support the museum, the library, the food bank.
The fire hall.
Fire hall, they can go get dunked themselves.
I had
What the other with the hose? Spraying
So for the other ones, it might be something, if you're looking into it, can we look into possibly splitting donations amongst all the organizations within Poos Koopy that we support? We're not playing favorites, because I'm sure they can all use a couple of extra bucks.
May I ask a question before I
Sure.
second the motion?
It's not a motion, it's just a request.
How many not-for-profits do we have in Poos? Does anyone know?
That are really supportive.
That are village supported. We have the seniors hall, the food bank, the museum, the library, the fire hall,
Well, the fire hall's run by us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not really fire hall.
So we got 4?
4 or 5.
4 or 5, yeah.
I put the motion on the floor then, that we as council spend the afternoon, or a little bit of time anyways, at the dunk tank, collecting donations that then be divided between the 4 organizations that we support as a municipality.
Before anybody seconds that, I'm already busy. I'm doing all the children's games with the museum and the public library, so
Steal you
I will not.
get dunked.
Listen, I'm pretty sure I'm too heavy for the board. I'm gonna be honest. I know, don't put me on there. Somebody will just keep hitting the button and they'll just like.
Hey, you know what, we might earn a lot of money for the community, okay?
Okay, yeah, maybe. Does it need a motion before I get it seconded? Skylar is not, Ms. Green is
It
not.
obligates us to do it.
Huh? Okay. Are you seconding it, Councilor?
I would propose a friendly amendment to the motion that it's directing staff to look into that can be done, right? Like,
Yes, please.
like within the ramifications, can we collect donations as figures of the municipality for all of those things? Yes.
Can I get a seconder on the amendment? Councilor Wall, thank you.
I'm
Discussion?
disappointed.
Oh, he's disappointed, there you go.
I think it's a great.
Perfect. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried, there we go. Thanks, guys.
It included mayor in the
You're
motion.
good, I know, I see that. I'm running the children's games all day. I like to hang out with the little people.
I'm just saying, 5 minutes to come in and raise money for, their community is not a bad thing.
Wait.
Nowhere does it say you can't volunteer soaking wet.
I'm just saying, I might donate to Carson.
Trying to face paint, it's just running everywhere.
Alrighty, so we are at 8.4 recommendation.
The council approves the travel registration and accommodation expenses for the CO to attend the CO forum to be held in Nanaimo, BC from October 3rd to 7th, 2023.
Can I get a seconder? I will second that one. So just question, Ms. Green. I'm assuming that this is the conference that CO usually goes to each year. This is part of, oh, that's it.
I assume so, I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know this was on here, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is part of her usual traveling conferences. Yeah, that's what I thought. So this is a really great opportunity for her to network. She meets other CEOs in the province and, learn about their experiences as well as share different cool things that we have going on within Kuskoobie. It's sort of like whenever we go to conferences and we network, it's very much the same idea. And so, yeah, discussion, Councillor Whittle?
I guess as through Madam Mayor back to staff, is this something that's been budgeted for already or is in our current budget?
It's on here, so I don't know. I can't answer that right now.
Second question on that, is there a timeline on this then, or is it something that we can get that information, have it come back to us?
I don't know. We'll have to bring it back.
Okay. Well, this is happening in October, so we can always bring it back to our meeting in July and discuss it then. Councillor Wall?
So the information we received from the CAO on the meeting in May, or the first meeting in May, my apologies, it was less than a year ago, was that we didn't have the funds, and that's why we couldn't send everyone to the NCLGA or the Indigenous education, was because we didn't have the funds if we all wanted to go to UBCM. So we've had certain individuals have to do online. So if there's an online option, I prefer that. Or if this is not budgeted for, I don't feel it's a wise spend of taxpayer funds for $3,000 for something that okay, another recommendation that was made by staff at one point was that one person go to an event or a conference and that they find a buddy or something to take notes and bring that back. So as per our mission statement, we lead by example. We've had to do that. I think we may need to follow the same leadership examples that we've been following and implement that with the CEO forum.
So just. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I'm actually going to propose a motion that this be tabled until more information can be provided as to the budgetary implications, the necessity of it, and if there's a deadline for registration, what time frame are we working with?
Okay. Are you a seconder on that motion? Councillor Whittle? thank you. Discussion? Do you guys have something you want to add?
Oh, I just wanted to add that the council budget is separate from the training budget
Yes.
of staff.
Of staff, yeah, it's a separate budget. So we'll bring it back and then we'll kind of have all that information in there and then, yeah. Okay, all those in favor of bringing it back? Okay. Would you like your opposed noted?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So that is 3 in favor, 1 opposed. Ms. Green, I promised I would go slow. Alrighty, we are on to number 9. Look at us just killing the game this evening. I don't want to gloat or anything, but correspondence. Okay. Does anybody see anything?
9.1, that council receives a letter from UBCM on housing for information.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Wall, thank you. Discussion? Councillor Rabble?
So it appears that they're essentially looking for a catalog or an inventory of publicly owned lands that the Ministry of Housing may work in conjunction with us to develop for public housing facilities. I'm not exactly sure what Pooskoopi would have, because they're looking for vacant lots, they're probably looking for infill and whatnot. I don't know what the implications of this would be. They say they'll hold it in confidence and just kind of keep it if need be. I'm wondering about what staff time implications of this if we're to move forward with it. It seems like a good idea on paper. I'm wondering what the implications will be.
Yeah, like, from what I got from it too, like, we could send them information on the West Pooskoopi development thing. Like, we could send them that info. That is a large area of land that we do have. It doesn't have any connections to it as of yet, so it would need all that development and infrastructure added in. But that is a choice if council would like to send that information forward, or at this point in time, we can just receive it for information. Councillor Wall?
I think if we were to send them information regarding it, it would be best to give them information closer to the center of town that already has services, because these would be for low-income people living in government-subsidized housing.
You finished, Councillor?
Oh yeah, our Councillor Parker. Woodall, oh my gosh, I am so sorry.
Councillor Whittle?
So I'm gonna agree and disagree with you on this one. I think that sending them the West Coast stuff is great. The reason why is if the ministry down the road is looking at doing low-income housing or something like that, they have better access to developers and a bigger network than what we do. And if they decide that, hey, you know, because some of the things that was mentioned in our housing assessment was that, you know, we need some lower-income housing or some apartment building, and it might potentially open up that area of town so that, you know, to other developers, it might actually lead to the services eventually being put in there. So I think we should include the West Poost stuff, but also any other stuff that we have, you know, within the community that's village owned that already has services, because I think we own some stuff up closer to the water tower that already has services on it. But I wouldn't want to disclude that. I'd want to include a little bit of everything, because who knows if they have deeper pockets than we do and more access to resources than we do.
Councillor Rattle?
So I think the caveat in this is that it's municipally owned land so that they can work in partnership with the municipality. From the best of my knowledge, I don't believe that West Coast is municipally owned. I think it's in private hands. So I'm wondering what kind of, what's that? I'm pretty sure we own West Coast.
Yeah.
I guess that's a law.
Yeah.
Really?
I know, we learned something new.
Well, then I guess the continuation of that inquiry is that, do we know exactly what municipally held parcels we have, right? Do we exactly know, is this, if we ask, because this would fall to staff, if staff are to deal with it, are they having to dig through a bunch of files, or is it ready to go right at the surface, where we go this, and this?
Totally ready. They have a cool map that's out front, yeah, that they mark. And you'll have to look at it on your way out. There's a beautiful map behind the first desk. Can't say who the employee's name is, but it's behind her desk and it shows what properties are owned by the municipality. Yeah, you should check it out.
Sure.
Councillor Wall.
So unfortunately, when it comes to West Coast, our zoning of West Coast is for single-family residential, is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
So allowing for a multi-family government housing in that area would not go with our current zoning plan and strategic plan and official community plan that's in place for that area at the time, so we're working against our own interests in providing them that information. So
Yeah.
we would be looking for more of an infill site within Coos that we could possibly rezone before we rezone something that we just zoned and nothing's ever been built there.
Yeah. I think, speaking to where Councillor Whittle had said, we did do a housing study in, I think it was 2019, that did 19 or 20, that highlighted that is one area that Coos could be deficient in. We don't have enough low income housing, and we don't have enough apartments. So those were the two things that were really highlighted as a deficiency in the community. And so I do see what Councillor Wall was saying about how that could sort of help a bit of that housing study that was completed. Councillor Wall?
I will amend the motion that we send them a map of municipally owned lots that they could consider for construction of a suitable site.
What was your first motion? Did you make a motion?
No, I asked a
What
question.
you said is
Oh,
information.
okay. Can you repeat your motion for me? Sorry about that.
That we send, put the motion on the floor that we send them the map of municipally owned lots within Coos Coupee for them to make a determination whether or not it works for them. And so they have a choice of options rather than a fully new subdivision. Cost more, and we don't have the drainage capacity, stored water further downstream.
Okay. I get a seconder?
I'll second it because I want to bring it to the floor.
Okay.
And then I want to discuss it. So they're asking, though, to simplify it for the ministry, they're looking for specific information. So they're essentially looking for parcel descriptions as well. And I'm worried about the burden that may present for staff. I get the map, but if we have to define every single information piece for each parcel, that might be onerous. Or the information as a whole might be rejected if it's simply just the map of the whole broad area. I'm just looking to see what they want in regards to what has been submitted to us.
Councillor Whittle, do you still have a question? Sorry.
Yeah, so no, I'm just gonna reiterate that I think if we're gonna send them something, we should send them all the line, including the West Coast, because stuff like drainage, zoning, that kind of stuff can be amended when and if, right? Because this is going into their record, so it might be 15 years down the road, they might come to us and say, or 10 years down the road and say, hey, we might be interested in this. By that point in time, there might already be infrastructure in there, we don't know. So I think we'd be doing ourselves a big disservice and doing the community a big disservice if we didn't include that with the package that was in. Right, because when it comes to zoning, it's a matter of, like we learned when we were doing all of our training and stuff, it's a matter of the developer, be it whoever the developer is of the province uses, comes back and they can ask for a zoning amendment on it. Drainage is something that they would take care of when they put in the infrastructure and the roadways, right? So I think we'd be shooting ourselves in the foot, really bad if we didn't include that information in the package so that they at least have all the options that are available.
I think Councillor Wall's motion does technically cover West Coos, because it is some of the lots up there that we own. And he did take any municipal lot, so without specifically identifying the West Coos, I think he tied it in really quite well,
Yeah.
so.
That's as long as it's all included, that's
Yeah.
my biggest concern.
Oh, I don't want to exclude it. No.
Yeah,
I
okay,
don't wanna
that's my
exclude it.
understanding. I want you to
I don't think it
exclude
should be only West.
Yes.
Coast,
No,
be the
it
rest
should
of
be
it.
everything, yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
I think that's what they're asking for in this, is everything.
Councillor Wall?
I apologize to Ms. McNair because I'm going to add a friendly amendment.
Oh, okay.
To yourself?
To my own motion.
Okay.
When we send them our maps, if we ask them to please contact us with more information if they're interested in pursuing that here in our municipality. So they can contact us and maybe do a delegation or something like that, so we know a little bit more information on what they're looking for.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Green?
I need clarification. So are you
Yeah.
just asking for more information, or you wanting another delegation?
So I think my understanding of Councillor Wall's motion is if by chance they look at our map and they think, oh my gosh, what a beautiful place, we must build something there, before they make any strong commitments, they reach out to us and kind of come in and talk to us about what they're thinking.
Yeah, that, or if we add a little blurb that we are interested in what you have to offer, can you please let us,
No, if anything tickles your fancy, as my father would say.
yeah, that's the one.
That's the one. Counselor Rebel.
So basically, send them a map of municipally owned lots and go, take your pick. If you want something different, we'll give you specific information.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna provide
A
the
ton of.
information sheets as you have suggested. We are simply just be like, hey, this is what we got.
This is what we got, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Counselor Whittle?
So I guess it's sort of related to this, and staff can correct me if I'm wrong, but when we're looking at questions for talking to a minister and stuff, is this something that we could look at bringing up potentially with the housing minister, is that we have space available in Blue Scoopy for this kind of stuff?
Ms. McNair?
Yes. They're looking for specific information as Councilor suggested. And they don't want a map of our entire community. They want us to pick what we consider that they may want to repurpose and utilize. So they're talking about repurposing, apartment buildings or old fire halls or hotels. Yes, we don't know.
We don't own it though. Yeah, okay, Counselor Rabble.
Well, it also kind of suggests, in conjunction with the redevelopment of a community center, library, fire hall, municipal infrastructure, like if we went, we're gonna build a mega library with like aquatic center and a library and a fitness center all together, and BC Housing will have their tower in the middle of it, and it'll all just come together so smoothly.
There's that mega mine tower you wrote. Counselor Wall?
May I suggest, what would it be called? Why did I use the word?
What do you mean?
No, a break in the meeting, so we can actually go look at the map and then come back.
Recess?
A recess.
We got this March 24th, so it's only third.
This is by July 31st.
Okay, I put the motion on the floor to table this to the next meeting so we can have a chance to look at
You
the
already
map.
have a motion. Yep, see, she's
Oh.
about to do the whole back it up thing. So we already have to vote on the current motion and then see how council.
Send the map motion.
No, the motion about, sending the map motion, yeah. Ms. Green?
So what I have is the motion that council directs staff to send Men's properties to these people with Wall's amendment to, if they are interested in doing anything, reaching out to council, discuss the opportunity. Has anyone seconded it?
Yeah, Councilor Rabble seconded.
To bring it to the floor, yeah.
Thank you.
Actually, I like that motion because
Okay.
I think it sounds pretty good, really. I think.
We're tabling.
I redact my motion to table.
Don't write anything down.
It never
There was not a
happened.
motion, it was not seconded, it was nothing, he was speaking out loud. So we're gonna focus on the motion that you've just read beautifully, best job ever. I'm gonna move it to a vote. All those in favor of sending are you putting up a question or are you voting? Okay, all those in favor of sending out the municipally owned properties to I can't see the people.
Send the map,
And
if
send
they
the map.
like it, come to us.
Send
And
the
if they
map
like
and
it,
we'll
come to
vote.
us. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Come
There
to
we
the
go.
door. Okay, we got there. I want to talk on 9.3, but does anybody want to talk on 9.2 before I get there? You want to talk on 9.2? Okay, read it.
Recommendation that council receives report from the animal control bylaw officer for information. A meeting with the animal control and bylaw officer will be set up at August council meeting.
Yes. Okay, can I get a seconder? Councilor Rabble, thank you. Councilor Wong?
I just want to note that in the report, the information we're receiving is actually a little less detailed than we usually get.
I missed that too.
Because we usually get it with the street, now we're just getting the time and what it is. So, last meeting I noted that, well, we can see trends, hey, dog barking on this street 4 times in the same report, or hey, derelict vehicle, same street, probably the same one. Now, that's not in the report. So I want to propose a policy.
We don't need a policy. Really, you can just request that of him as staff, as a contractor. You can get the CAO or whoever's acting currently to reach out to him and just let him know that we need the report redone with the house numbers and going forward that's.
Not the house numbers, because that's
No,
confidential.
yeah.
Oh, no,
Just
with the
street.
street, sorry, yeah,
Just
the
the
streets, yeah.
Just the street.
Cause I did notice the streets were gone as well, so we should need a policy, that is something that we can already ask.
Yeah, and I also do wanna note that there are still no tickets issued.
Okay.
Can I put a motion on the floor? For us to agree on something?
First, to agree on something?
Yeah, hopefully.
Oh my god, you scare me every time you do this. Okay, well, first, yeah, if staff could reach out to, our bylaw officer and just request that he put the street numbers back in, just so we can continue to monitor those trends, that would be really great.
And
Would you like me to make that a motion?
Just right, yes.
Okay, so I put the motion on the floor to direct staff to reach out to our bylaw officer, to request that the street numbers be put back into his report, as well as this report be updated with the street numbers and sent back to us. She's still writing, I don't wanna overwhelm her. Hang on.
that was gonna be my motion.
Well, I beat you to it. Can I get a seconder on that motion? Counselor Wall
Sure.
seconded that, thank you. There we go. Haha, Counselor.
And I interpret, and then therefore that the interpretation be that street means generally any road location that the event occurs on, and not to exclude avenues as well.
Same as it was before.
Or laneways, or drives.
Don't forget boulevards.
Oh, or boulevards,
Or
yeah.
place,
Yeah,
yeah.
Counselor Wall.
May I add a friendly amendment to the motion? I've actually looked at bylaw reports from other municipalities, and a majority of the ones I saw include the block numbers, so it'd be like 200 block of 50.
Oh, I don't think we have that here.
No, we don't have that here.
Well, between 50, no, we do, because
Like
between 50,
before,
like for example, if you're on, let's say you're on 49 Ave, between 49 and 50, your address, let's say your address is 49, whatever.
Just add the
It's-
house number because
It's
everybody.
4900 block, right? Because you're within that block, so it provides a.
Just leaving the avenue or the street is.
The
Because it's not
boulevard
like
or
we have
laneway or-
in town, if we were, like, get it from larger municipalities, but for us, like, really, you know, the street, cause that street or the avenue, I think, is plenty, cause it's.
99% of the time, you know exactly what house he's talking about. You spend far too much time wandering around. You're always like, oh, yeah, been there, no, I know them, went in for tea.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Okay, Councilor Rebel.
And there's some lines somewhere about disclosure for FIPA or privacy laws or something. There's probably a line somewhere. I think the street number is probably okay, but then the house number, oh my goodness, that's.
Yeah.
I'm not
that's too
recommending
far.
house.
Yeah, of course, so there's must be a line somewhere there.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw it into a vote. All those in favor of staff reaching out to our our bylaw officer to begin putting in the streets, avenues, boulevards, laneways. That he correct this one and send it back out as soon as he has it complete. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Alrighty. Recommendation 9.3, this one I want to talk on, so I will take it. The council received the report from the Poughkeepsie Volunteer Fire Department as information. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Whittle, thank you. I just actually want to take this time and commend our hardworking volunteers who've been putting in not only support and aid to our community, but also to the surrounding communities. And note that they've logged over 200 hours in the past month.
Yeah.
And I cannot imagine the time and the toll that it's taken on these hardworking men and women who also have jobs, families, etc. So I just really wanted to take this time to commend them, and I know that all of council would absolutely agree. And thank them for all their hard work. They've been doing a phenomenal job. So
I
awesome
second.
job. You're like,
I
yeah.
second the
You're
commend.
just totally for it.
I thoroughly agree.
Yeah, they're doing an awesome job, so I just wanted to talk on that. Alrighty. Number 10, resolutions, we have none. Number 11, bylaws.
The council received the first reading of the solid waste management bylaw number 1049, 2023.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Whittle, thank you. Discussion? Nothing has changed.
I know.
Okay, Councillor Whittle.
For the sake of public transparency, there was a numbering issue in the previous bylaw. So we had duplicates of the same numbers. The rates have not changed, nothing else has changed. It's just
Fixing of the numbers.
yeah, it was just an error that was oversaw by everybody, or overlooked by everybody.
15 eyeballs, yeah, nothing.
So it's just it requires the bylaw to be, do we need to repeal it?
Yeah,
That's my concern.
Ms. Green?
So in the bylaw, at the end, there is a line item that does repeal the previous bylaw and any amendment thereto. So by adopting this new bylaw,
It
it
automatically.
repeals the previous.
Wonderful. So I just want to let the ratepayers know that nothing has changed in material, it's just there was a little mix up with the point numbers.
Yeah.
7.2.
So, alrighty, any other discussions? Councillor Rabble?
Just out of pure curiosity, seems more technical than anything, but 3.1 village hereby establishes waste disposal and recycling. I don't think that makes much of a difference, but we're not establishing it, it's kind of been existing. This just defines that it exists and it's new.
Well, this is a new RPF thingy, so it's like, we're establishing with a new everything, right? Yeah. Councillor Rabble?
And I'm appreciative of 3.3, that the village may utilize its own labor and equipment or the labor of a third-party contractor. So it gives us that window in the future if we are to do it in-house. And I'm appreciative of that.
All right, ready to move to a vote? I do that very slow, I know. Okay, all those in favor of accepting bylaw 1049, 2023? Unanimous and carried, wonderful, 11.2 recommendation.
The council gives a second reading to the solid waste management bylaw number 1049, 2023.
Can I get a seconder? Councilor Wolf, thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Item number 11.3.
The council receives a third reading to the solid waste management bylaw number 1049, 2023.
Can I get a seconder? Councilor Whittle, thank you.
Should I go to post?
Don't even. Discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried, thank you very much. Alrighty, moving on to number 12, CAO report. You know, it's like she's still here. She's just killing the game over there. There you go. Miss her already. Did I do something I wanted to ask about those? No? No? Yes? Yeah, that was good. Yes. Yep, that was good. Okay, any discussion? Oh, Councilor Rapp.
Well, just from the CAO report, just the last piece, in regards that we had anticipated that the council code of conduct be brought back for this meeting, but as it states in the CAO report, it's to be brought back in August. So that it's still coming back and we'll prepare for that, but it's not coming at this meeting as we had spoken about last meeting.
And in talking to that, please note it does say email your concerns so they can look into them. Do not forget. Send those out. If you have any concerns or questions, email them. You're more than welcome to still ask them on camera. It just kind of gives the staff an opportunity to get the information you're looking for prepared before the meeting so that they have it. Councilor Wolf.
I just want to note on here that it says the interim CAO will be meeting with Urban Matters, and that's tomorrow. Okay.
Recovered?
Yeah.
Ah, there you go. Ms. McNair's taking it over. Yes. Good point.
That was, okay, solved.
All right.
I just want to make sure somebody is going.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, perfect. Anything else? No? We're gonna move on to our action items. So I was like reading this sideways, and my husband was like, "You're gonna get a crick in your head. You keep doing that." And I was like, "It's sideways." Yeah, looks good. Lots of ongoings, which is awesome. Councilor Wall.
I'd like to put the motion on the floor that on the first one here, item number 1, that the code of conduct be brought back. It says it can be brought back today. That we correct that date to make it August.
Do you need a motion for that, or can you just?
I was done. Or is it different?
No, it is motion. Just like let the staff know and then they fix it. Does that work? You seem dedicated. I don't wanna take your
I
thunder.
just wanna make sure we're doing this right.
Yeah, totally. I just don't wanna steal your thunder, that's all. But I don't think we need a motion for that one, so I think we're all good, and we'll fix it. Councilor Rabble?
I'm just curious, number 8, public transit administration to start looking into the possibility of transit opportunities for Goose Goopy. I understand that there's neighboring municipalities that are engaging in conversations with BC Transit and other levels of the provincial government. I'm just curious as to the conversations, because I think there might be a certain timeline to those conversations that's pertinent.
Yes, when we had spoken to members of Dawson Creek, their contract with BC Transit is up in August. And that's when they will be having more conversations with us by that point. So we're just waiting until that sort of comes to its end, and then we'll be in more discussion by that point.
Would it be more advantageous to plan and prepare prior to the expiration of such a contract so that the service doesn't stand, that we're able to roll over into a new service agreement that includes Goose Goopy as a
Well, we keep
area?
bugging them, myself and Councillor Wall. We bugged them the last time too, and we bugged them at the NCC. It's giving us, yeah, we've been bugging them.
Even have a new grant, whenever you have to.
See? We're just gonna keep poking them, and then eventually they'll phone, you know? Like, every time I see them, I do bring it up, and then it's like, oh, right. So it is there. And we are technically seeing him tomorrow. We all have the cross-cultural train tomorrow, so, you know.
That is something, so what are we talking about? I thought we were talking about transit.
Well, we are, but we're gonna see the Dawson people tomorrow when we're at the cross-cultural training.
That's Friday.
That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Which is a note I have to make for your guys' calendar, by the way.
I'm very excited.
Okay, you do that.
Oh, it is, I have it for tomorrow.
Oh, there we go. Well, see, so we will be seeing them tomorrow. Be sure to bring up transit. Poke, 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 poke.
I don't think I'm a part of that. I think I wasn't able to attend. I think I made that clear previously. It's just, I'd be interested, it's just I've got other obligations.
Yeah. Well, you're on like every board in all of the province, so.
No. Thankfully, no.
All right, anybody have anything else for action items? Councillor Wall?
I just wanna note that the alcohol permitting bylaw process is in there, because I have had people go, is there gonna be a beer garden in Canada? That process still isn't done, but it is on the action items. Hopefully by next year, we'll be in a spot to be able to have that.
Yeah.
Just because I've been getting calls about it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Makes sense.
So thank you, staff, for still working on that, and
Plugging away.
hopefully it'll be there for next year.
Okay, we're gonna move on to item number 12 then, capital and special projects. Again, lots of things happening. I don't think I had a seconder to move on to these things, do I? Yeah, I don't think so, yeah. Councillor Rabble?
Sorry, just to check this number, for the strategic plan and OCP, that costs $103,000?
Yep.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's the way you did it every 5 years.
That's a lot of money.
So those meetings are like really important, and we always hope that people don't miss them unless they're physically tied to their toilet, so, you know, Councillor Woodville was fine.
Reason I'm really there on Monday.
Yeah, it is very expensive.
Is that the cost of the consultation process and then the production cost?
All those meetings and community meetings, and yeah. There was not a typo in that number, but that is the
Well,
actual.
that's what I'm asking, yeah.
No typo.
There isn't an extra 0.
Yeah. could you-
No, I think he was hoping there was like an extra
Like an
10.
extra zero.
Like a 1 and a 0. Yeah. Councillor Wall?
I just wanna, I have a, it's not here before, but I do have a question about it, and I don't know why I haven't asked it before. The Stars donation, does that come out of our discretionary fund? Because $10,000 is a lot of.
No, it does not. And you know what? You can join the bandwagon with Councillor Woodall.
That $10,000 I was assured was spread out over 3 years.
It's
not
their last
10,000
year.
a year. This
It's
is
not $10,000 a year.
Yes, it is too, 10,000 a
I
year.
was told it was 10,000 spread over 3
Well, they
years.
were probably trying to make you feel better.
Yeah, because, yeah, anyway, that's a discussion.
This is
for
our
tomorrow.
last year doing the STARS donation, because we technically already donated to the PRRD. And so, as of next year, we'll just be relying on our PRRD part.
Okay.
If that's what council wishes to choose.
Got that.
At that time, yeah. Councillor Rapp.
Well, in regards to number 5, park improvements, upgrade and repair parks, should that be an element in the action items as well? So that staff is looking into park infrastructure and the accessibility park infrastructure and all that kind of business?
No, that would be a capital, because of the funding that you're pulling it out of. That's capital. Yeah, certain things, you have to pull them out of capital, so that's one of them. Definitely want to keep it there. Anything else? Nope. Okay, moving on. Nope.
So just to clarify though, that the action item list and the capital list, they're kind of both just things that are getting done and don't really need to cross-pollinate?
No.
Okay.
Nope, they're just working on them.
Okay, both working lists.
Oh,
So-
I do wanna mention something.
Oh, yeah.
So I almost forgot. So last meeting I mentioned grading of the lanes. I have had 2 residents phone me and say that their laneways have been graded. So I don't see it on the list here, but I do wanna thank Public Works for doing that.
I think people are just gonna think you're magic, but I swear they were already probably gonna do it.
They were probably already gonna do it.
They were probably already gonna do
I
it.
told them I'd bring it up.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay.
It helps, it helps.
Let's move on to our council calendars. June 22nd is blank. It does need to say we're going to that cross-cultural training with the PRRD tomorrow from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m.
What was the time again, sir?
10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So don't forget to add that on there. There was that, and then there was another one actually. On June 28th, I will be at a committee of the whole meeting in Fort St. John for the PRD, so I don't know. If I don't tell these things, I get.
And then I'll be at the 29th.
And then he'll be at the 29th. I'm at the 28th because we're sharing. Sharing is caring. Yes, Ms. Green.
Is the 28th a PRRD?
It's a PRD meeting, committee of the whole in Fort St. John, yeah.
Yeah, so what that one is from the last committee of the whole meeting, because of all the people that showed up due to all the misinformation that was out there. They had to basically end the meeting and reschedule the meeting, so this is just a continuation of that meeting that Mayor Beach was attending last time.
Does anybody have anything else they need to add in June or July?
No.
This time.
Alrighty, let's move to reports. Councillor Johnston is not here. He's driving. Councillor Rabble, you're up.
All right, so last Thursday we did our OCP visioning session with council. This Monday, the 19th, we did our strategic plan visioning session with urban systems as well. A good chance for councilors to get together, mayor and council to get together and discuss, what does the village look like going forward for the next 5 years, our high level thinking. Got a lot of ideas out. There's definitely more that we have in common than not, so I think we're on the same page in a lot of regards, but some healthy debate. And no, very excited for that. To see the end results of that. I understand it's gone to staff and now it will eventually come back to everybody. Anywho, this past Saturday, I did have the opportunity to volunteer at the food bank. And I'm very appreciative of that.
Yeah.
It was an opportunity, I responded to it, and so I got to see kind of how it operates.
So they reached out to you?
Mhm.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh,
It
good.
was really good. So, got to see the utilization of the food bank, got to see kind of how they operate. And so, just kind of course, just being a liaison to their board and seeing what they need as they are operating within the village-owned building that is leased by the church that they are getting from the church.
I know, it's such a.
Do. Yeah, but the thing that's always in the back of my mind is, what if it needs to be more utilized? What if there, heaven forbid, comes a day where more people need to access its services, and that it has that rigidity, and that it has the volunteer networks and fundraising networks that is able to get more resources if need be. And so that's always in the back of my mind. So it was good to see that. And there's probably a bunch of other things, but and I did have the opportunity with a different hat today regarding the Dawson Creek District Hospital working group that is in conversations about design and what potential designs and considerations to all sorts of user groups. But it's definitely interesting to see all the different perspectives come together, and that Northern Health is working in conjunction with community partners and stakeholders to see hopefully the best vision that we can have of this hospital. But as always, I'm always an advocate for small business and local businesses to be a part of that process, to ensure that those dollars stay here and don't just fly away somewhere. All right, that's my report.
Perfect. Okay, Councillor Wall.
Okay, so I was at the ESS, the Emergency Support Services, between the 8th and 13th of June, helping with the Tumbler Ridge evacuees. During that time, I actually called around to our local hotels, and all of which accepted evacuees. Thank you to our hotels. I'm sure, I don't know if all of them, but I'm pretty sure close to all of them were full. So very, very big thank you to that. I was part of the Good Neighbors Festival held for the Tumbler Ridge evacuees, held in the NAR Park in Dawson Creek. I think that went very well. I saw Councillor Rabble and Mayor Beach there serving hot dogs, so that was quite nice. I attended the Urban Systems OCP council session that happened here on the 15th. That worked out quite well. There is a survey online. We've done our surveys, I think. I have anyways. It is online on the village website. There's also a QR code on the office door for anyone who hasn't completed that survey. I spoke with the curator at the museum on the 16th or 17th. My apologies. That was the Saturday. Yes. Regarding Canada Day and the float, which is looking fantastic. If any members of council have gone and looked, it is amazing. The museum will require a little bit of help.
Getting it up there, yeah.
It's been built, it just needs to be moved. But thank you to the museum and especially the curator and the summer students there for working on that. It looks fantastic, and I bet the residents will have a very pleasant surprise when they see what they've done there. And I don't want to take any credit for it because I just showed up and they basically gave a thumbs up. It looks awesome. On top of that, we did our council vision session on the 19th regarding our strategic planning. That went quite well, I believe. We were all there except for one. And a resident reached out to me regarding transit and talked to me about a grant I didn't know existed. So thank you to that resident if you know who you are. It's called the Rural Transit Solutions Fund. It is put on by the Canada Infrastructure Bank. It takes carbon tax money, which we all pay, and it gives it back to rural communities under 1,500 people in areas that don't have transit, that are close to urban centers, that do to try to connect to their network. I don't know how I didn't know about this thing, but I now know about it, and I want to put a motion on the floor that staff look into that fund.
Okay, can I get a seconder? Councillor Rabble, thank you. Scott, Ms. Green?
Will you please repeat the grant name?
It is called the Rural Transit Solutions Fund, and it's put on by the Government of Canada through the Government of Canada Infrastructure Bank. And I think we fit the bill pretty good for what they're looking for.
Oh.
I almost feel embarrassed that I didn't know about this.
Oh, gosh.
You're
You're not supposed to know everything. You are just a person, you know, at the end of the day. Goodness gracious. Stop beating yourself up. Stop beating yourself up so bad.
Well, I've been doing all this research, and then somebody comes to me and goes, "Have you done this?" And I'm like, "What's this?" Also tomorrow we're at the Ovintiv at
Good.
Oh, yeah, right. All those in favor of staff looking into the transit grant? Unanimous and carried. Thank you. Sorry, I was looking for something. Okay, sorry. Keep on going there, Councillor Wall.
Okay, yeah. Tomorrow it's the Dory River First Nations thing at 10 a.m. Looking forward to that.
Are you going
Yeah,
I'm so jealous.
you're going too.
tomorrow? No, we're going to the cultural training that's happening at the, that's not Doig. No, we're going to the cultural training that's happening at the Fix. I know, see?
What am I writing down?
I have no idea.
Maybe I've double booked myself.
You probably double booked yourself like I did, and then I found out that there is actually a cultural training happening tomorrow at the,
So it's at Mercer Hall, and it's Doig River cross-cultural training. So
wait, where's Mercer Hall?
It's
Where the
the
SS
Ovid Center.
This thing is, It's in Dawson, right?
Yeah, it's off the
Thank goodness.
Civic Ed Center. It's where we did the NCLGA.
Okay.
And it's from 10 till 3, so everybody's.
I apologize for the extremely long report. To end it though, I do want to thank our hotels again, and I really want to thank our firefighters for going down to Tumbler Ridge and all the help they've been doing. And I want to thank all the volunteers that assisted at the ESS with us, including our staff some of our staff were there as well assisting. And the help was very much appreciated, and I can play hardball sometimes, but it was very good to see. Strong community effort.
Councillor Ravel?
Simply just a comment as well, I did forget to include the ESS in my report, but I'm really appreciative of all the community members that came together and different levels of government that were able to assist the evacuees during such a sudden and strenuous time. It was extremely humbling to hear people just having to pick up and hope for the best and come to, one of their neighboring communities. But they were provided with resources. People flung their doors open to take these people, and then also to the city of Dawson Creek and the Peace River Regional District for their organization and their ability to handle this emergency and efficiently and effectively move people into shelter and negotiate with accommodations and negotiate with restaurants. So that was great to see, and thank you as well to the firefighters who risked life and limb to keep the fires away so that we can keep our houses.
Awesome. Okay, Councillor Whittle, you're up.
So, unlike everybody else, I did not work in ESS. I was wearing other hats during the evacuation and taking care of some other stuff. So just kind of getting back in the swing of things, had a chance to go through some bylaws and stuff. I did get a chance, though, the other day to reach out to the new detachment commander through the Dawson Creek RCMP. So I invited him and his members to join us for Canada Day, and told them that staff would probably follow up with more emails or more information down the road, but just to put that formal invite out there and to meet up. And we have some plans to potentially myself and Mayor Beach to meet up with the new detachment commander here in the future. This is a portfolio that I hold at the village, so yeah, meet up with him and finally put a face to the name. Other than that, on Thursday I was able to make it for a bit to our OCP meeting, and unfortunately Monday I was not able to make it due to health concerns. Other than that, a whole heck of a lot to really add in on this one.
I just saw a note, I forgot to add something to our report that I have a question about.
Okay.
So, it is my understanding that there are residents waiting on variances in the village at the moment. How does that process go, and how can we, if there are, because I had a resident speak to me about a variance they applied for, does that have to come to council for us to decide on that?
Ms. Green?
Staff has gone through the permit application and has ensured that they have gathered all accurate information regarding the variance and everything that will be required, and when we are 100% sure we got all the information, then yes, it will be brought forward to council when that is ready.
Do you know if we have a time frame for how long that typically takes?
I guess my advice to you would be, if the resident is feeling like it's taking a bit longer, then I would maybe, if he's not comfortable coming in and just sort of talking to staff a little bit, but he's comfortable talking to you, maybe just have him write you like an email, and then kind of in that discussion through email, like you could forward his complaint or his questions off to staff and mayor and council and create like an email chain. I'll just try that. That might be a good direction to go.
I'm not sure how many variances there are right now in Cusum. I'm sure staff
Never know. They have like 700 on the Everybody wants to build a roof.
Yes, there's multiple different departments that have to consult with outside of the village, such as land titles, legal, and building inspectors, so we have to wait for all that information to be by our report.
Okay. I just wanted staff to be aware that I have had that concern. Hopefully, I'm hoping to see it in front of us as soon as.
Any government agency is 4 to 6 weeks.
That does not surprise me.
Well, 4 to 6 weeks now.
Yeah.
So we should, the next council meeting is in about 6 weeks, so. We'll just see it on there.
Councilor Rebel?
But just for citizen information, so hypothetically, if somebody had proposed a variance, they could probably kind of just ask a question, hey, what stage of the process am I in?
Oh, yeah.
What is it looking like? Like, what are you guys waiting on? What, is there more information required? I assume staff would reach out if more information was required. So,
I don't know why I get all the calls.
well, sorry, my question would therefore be that if staff were to be approached by a member applying for a variance and had asked, hey, what stage of the process am I in? Staff would provide the information required or what stage they're at. Okay, yeah, perfect, okay.
All right, my turn.
If I could speak before, I do apologize, if that's okay, you can say no, you're the chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just remembered something. Last time we had discussed two pieces, reaching out about a ride-along and reaching out about a water treatment plant tour. I was wondering, is that an action item piece, or how do we approach such a thing? Okay.
Yeah.
There was an email coming out saying that the water tours were gonna get arranged and that we
Yeah.
put something back more. The process for the ride along, when myself and Mayor Beach meet with the RCMP detachment commander, we can ask about that, because there is a process for elected officials, so I was talking with the previous detachment commander about it. Yeah, so we'll get the updated information and we'll arrange time for him to come in and meet with council and stuff.
So we'll approach it on a council level versus burden staff with that.
So I think that's something that we can take care of, that we can allow our staff to focus on more important things than getting to ride in a car with some flashing lights.
Happy taxis.
We all know how much I love the gavel. You have no idea how much I love the police button.
Just saying, I have a truck, we can push that button.
Alrighty, that worked out well because I was actually filling out a portfolio form that I totally forgot to get done, so I was multitasking. Right? Yes, okay, my turn. June 8th, I attended the PRRD meeting held in Fort St. John. That was, oh yeah, that was really great. I've never, nothing like fearing for your own life to make you really respect, like, the day.
If I didn't get called to go to the UCP, I was actually going to go.
June 13th, myself and Mayor Dover were invited to speak to students at Mount Christian School on their career day to talk to them about what it means to be a mayor. That was just so cool. And he tried to one-up me by handing out pins. Well, he may have called the war, but I won the battle because I handed out tattoos. So, yeah. Coolest mayor ever, by the way. And I totally had these ladies laughing because I was like, I need tattoos. Worked out well. So we got totally. I was racing out here. It was awesome. We had a wonderful time. We ended up going to multiple classrooms because he had family one to him and I had family one to me. So we got to meet with a bunch of the students and they had a great time. So that was really fun. On June 14th, I met with a local resident who was interested in volunteering in the community and connecting. And I connected her with the Puskabee Public Library. So it kind of was you should volunteer on this board because they recently are down a library board member. So I did talk to the librarian about, normally once a year we'll get the library board member applications and then we'll approve or deny them at that time. This will be one that's coming in after the fact because they've had one move to Dawson, so they're no longer allowed to be on the board and they're hoping to replace her. So don't be surprised if that comes up in July. On June 14th, I also volunteered at the Good Neighbor Barbecue held at the Art Gallery for the Tumbler Ridge evacuees. So I got to hand out hot dogs and help out, and I was so happy to help, and it was really nice to see. I don't know Duncan's last name, but it was really great to see him again. And I saw you both there, which was really, really great. So it was an awesome time. I kind of got to meet some new people. Had a great time there. June 15th, I attended the OCP meeting put on by Urban Systems. That was interesting. It really gets us like, the thing I really liked is we all seem really geared in the same direction, which I think is so cool. And our brains are very much aligning with what the community's wanting. So I just thought like, we're going to be like a train that's on a track that's just, so really excited about that, the fact that we're all kind of thinking along the same lines. On June 16th, I went to this is the portfolio form I was filling out, the Northeast Regional Advisory Committee. And Councillor Walpole made me think about that because while I was there, we had a roundtable discussion with Northern BC Intercommunity Transportation. And we talked about connectivity between the rural communities and how there aren't any. I talked about the difficulty of the fact that Muscogee doesn't have access to rideshare, we don't have a bus, we have limited taxi cabs. Out of all the communities there, we were definitely like the worst off. Even Taylor has more than we currently have. So we kind of brainstormed with them, which was really great. I then took the survey. They sent a survey out to all of us, and it was like 0 on every single one of them because we don't have anything. And so they should be reaching out to me shortly as well about that because they were quite surprised to see that we're so close to a larger municipality, but we have no connectiveness when it comes to transportation. So thank you for helping me think about that. I totally took that survey and tried to represent as much as I could.
Well.
On June 19th, I attended the Strat Plan meeting held here by Urban Systems as well. Again, a lot of our ideas are really in sync, and so I was really excited about that. It was nice to see. As I said, I think we're going to be like, we're all young and ambitious and have tons of energy, right? And so, I'm really excited for all the things that we're all going to get done in the next 4 years. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then today, I did attend the Indigenous Peoples Day celebration held in the school district. I did do it as my job, but I would have gone as the mayor anyway, but instead I was working there. So I got to do jigging all day at the event, which was a lot of fun and made me be very sweaty, and I wasn't very happy when I got. Poor Sky was like, "You look very stressed." I was very stressed. I've been jigging for 3 hours though, so yes, Councillor Wall.
I apologize. That's the one I missed. I didn't write it down because it was today. I attended the Indigenous Peoples Day celebration that happened at Northern Lights College.
There you go. And there were so many amazing things that were going on. It was so cool. So I was really happy to see that. So, and then lastly, I'm going to talk very slowly because the screen is writing the last thing. I connected with the museum on the float. So I phoned Mr. Diaz. I thanked him exponentially and just said thank you so much. I've not been able to get there this week. I was really hoping to, but sadly the end of the school year for me is like a crazy, hectic time. When I did speak with our CAO, I said like, I'm so busy, and she chuckled and said the last mayor was always really, really busy during April, and for me it's June. And in June, I'm just, my life is very hectic, but I did connect with him. I thanked him from all of us and just said he did such an amazing job. And he was so excited, he sent me photos and everything, so it looks amazing. I then rented out my husband to help lift things, because what are wives for at the end of the day? So my husband's being voluntold to go there and help tomorrow afternoon, so I'm going to be there tomorrow for a few hours, helping them get all this stuff onto the float. And well, really, I'm going to be standing there telling my husband to lift things onto the float. So I'm very excited about it. It's my favorite job. So, telling him what to do, absolutely. Yes, it's on the record now, permanent.
We all feel for Mr. H.
That's right. So, yeah, that is my whole report. That's me. I've been busy. Alrighty, so question period. Why all the invisible people here? Oh, do you have a question?
No.
Our time has come.
No, what I would say though is I am extremely excited because I'm seeing all the people involved in the Art Gallery prepare for this Friday, June 23rd's art auction, which will be hosted at the Northern Lights College Aircraft Maintenance Hangar.
I know, it looks so beautiful.
Yeah, it's going to be a lovely event, and I'm so excited to see all the people come together. From my understanding, I believe NLA Bernier will be the MC of
Yeah, he's like the band again. He
He's
rocked.
not the band.
He's
Oh,
the
he's
MC.
not. He's the
He's
MC.
the MC.
Oh,
But there is going to be a band.
okay.
They'll probably end up.
I know, I saw their photos of them all in tuxes and looking fancy, and I was like, I still haven't bought my tickets.
But
Can I just be there in spirit?
But
No!
if more information is required, the Dawson Creek Art Gallery website does have a link to tickets in the piece so that people can go and see the event. But I'm really excited to see all these community partners come together, and I think it's going to be a fabulous event. I see it as bringing life back in the community post-COVID, and that all these organizations are getting back in the swing of things. But anyway, thank you for letting me make my comment.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think at this rate, Councillor Wall's going to come to my house and drag me out of there on Friday. I'll be sure to not be home. No, just kidding.
Museum, I know where you are.
True.
You'll drive the float there.
That's right. Alrighty, so, ladies, I'd like to take a 10-minute break before we move to the in-camera. So can I read the in-camera knowing that we're going to take a 10-minute break and that's acceptable? This week there just keeps nodding, so I'm going to assume that that's a yep. So we're going to take a 10-minute break, but we are going to be moving into the in-camera. So I'm going to read the in-camera and then we'll take our break and then start it. Yeah.
I think we need a motion for recess, and then we come back from the recess, we read this, and then we go in camera.
Oh, you're
Well,
killing me.
then that would be the video kids.
So we
Yeah.
can
Redone for 2 seconds.
Yeah. Don't do this to the.
I would say we move in camera then
Yeah,
do a
we're
recess in camera.
gonna move it in camera. Okay. Number 15, in camera as per section 91C of the community charter. Recommendation that council moves to the in camera as per section 91C of the community charter. See labor relations and or other employee relations. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Wood will beat you to it. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you.